free. Very free. But aside from being free, I'm also free of money for now. For now. I hate the money so much. Just hated that it existed in the first place. I really did. It's like my last. Money is my last. You know, like when you're playing Super Mario Brothers, and at the very end there's this giant gargoyle thing trying to get you from saving the princess or whatever it is that you're doing in there. I feel like money is the last one for me, and just the accumulating of it and making sure there's enough of it that's just like the physical, that's the outward manifestation of what the thing actually represents. And after I went through all my stages with the thing and with its hold on me, then I finally came to some sort of an amicable relationship, which is where I'm at now. I don't hate it anymore. It's very interesting. It's interesting that I don't hate it anymore. Because for all of its woes and sickness and death that it imparts upon the realm, whether you want to say it's money or just human greed, I'm kind of thinking it's more the system and whatever intelligences are behind it, rather than humans simply being greedy, because that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. It's almost as fascinating to me thinking about money. It's almost as fascinating to me as trying to figure out how our supposed physical present translates into a memory in every waking moment of your life, and goes from being so-called physical to being purely mental. Still can't figure that one out. Unless it's a simulation, which of course it makes more sense. I was pondering about the realm and how it's working. If it were to be a simulation, would it be purely like what's that series called? My memory is so bad. I made a video on it. I watched every single episode in the series. The one, oh my god. use my mind, but I'm not able to summon things at will. Sleeves, Psychosec. Altered carbon. Okay. It's like with chess engines, you can modify them to play at a certain level. It's like, I know I have access to the whole thing, but I'm using a filtered version that specifically selects bits and pieces and does it by whatever whims it wants to. Anyway, altered carbon. Now I don't even remember what I was going to say about it. I feel like I'm sounding like how you're supposed to feel when you're smoking weed and getting high. Although smoking weed put me down, so maybe I'm just high all the time, and when people smoke weed then they get to this wacky, weird mind level. I don't know. But altered carbon, money. What am I talking about? Okay, so yes, so translating the physical present into something mental. How did that relate to altered carbon though? Sometimes my tangents just go on out, and then I can't recall the last, couple jumps, and I don't know, altered carbon. I don't know how entertaining this is going to be because I'm just driving home and it's a long drive. Normally I just listen to music, meditate, disappear, all those good things, but this time I'm gonna talk about stuff that I can't remember. Pretend like this is a meditation session. You're not required to do anything. You're not required to understand what I'm trying to do. I'm not required to understand what I'm trying to do. And it's just a nice, relaxing meditation session. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I think we wanted that exit. So I was talking about how I used to hate money and now I don't as much. And then how money is, although I don't like it, still a whole bunch. I've come to terms with it. I just can't remember how it ties in with altered carbon. I know one aspect how money ties in with altered carbon is that instead of us having such a dinosaur-like clunky version of trying to translate our perceived economic value output into numbers which are tradable, it's a seamless download, so to speak, into your DNA. And of course that's not necessarily a great thing either, because that's something way far beyond getting a chip embedded. It was something about, because in altered carbon there's this thing called the cortical stack, and the person's consciousness goes into that cortical stack, and then they pick out a sleeve, fully functioning biological robot that can house a consciousness. Whether that entails some sort of soul or spirit, they weren't very clear about that part, but they just said it houses your consciousness. And if the cortical stack gets destroyed or shot or something, then that's how the person actually dies. That's how you die in a world where immortality has been achieved through consciousness transfer. And since the payments were directly linked into whoever's DNA, then any part of your body can be thrown onto the scanner, and then there, voila, your bank account is known and can make a payment. But, and I don't think I'm going to remember exactly why I was trying to tie this in, but I do know what I was trying to say in a broad fashion, which is that aside from the Matrix being what it is and like kind of cold and hostile and uncaring toward humans, you know, it seems to care more about shuffling numbers around and having appearances be kept up and all that. Aside from that, if you get on board with the simple fact that the record keeping here actually is, as far as the Matrix is concerned, that's the number one thing. That's the number one important thing that's going on. And if you buy into that, at least, I'm not saying buy into that like discard your consciousness and say, oh, you know, I guess I'm just a number now, so I'm just gonna guard that with my life. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying play along with it, basically. Then you can actually glean some, you know, satisfaction, I guess, out of it. Because being bitter about something is never very good for you, unless you're doing something about it. Like unless you're marching out and going to dismantle the, you know, the Federal Reserve and abolish the IRS and start printing, you know, your own money as a country, or declare yourself a country and, you know, do whatever, make your own money, get people on board. Unless you're going to do that, then being bitter about the current system doesn't really serve you, and it doesn't serve anybody else either. It does serve to further isolate you into your projection mode instead of your present moment. So that's not necessarily great. But it's really fascinating to me how just a simple thought that a whole day's worth of experience for me, and this goes for anybody else who's working, a day's worth of experience of what has been approved as work, or I guess energetic creation, like realm approved energetic creation. Once you have done something like that, like I drove the whole day, I drove for 4 whole days basically. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. 35 hours. And the realm approved, my realm approved value as far as a number producer was like $1,000, right? And it's just amazing to me because it's like you take that experience, just like how your mind translates the physical moment into something mental and stores it in your brain. As this moment is happening, my mind is taking it, scrunching it up, and then sticking it on a file in the brain or in the mind or wherever. The Akashic Records, it doesn't matter. The same way that the mind is doing that's what the bank systems are attempting to do. They're doing it on kind of a caveman style way, or that's how it started out, you know, with tally marks on a stick, supposedly, if you believe any of the evolution. But it's becoming more refined now, and everybody understands it. They understand the simple concept of I work, I get money, and then now I have freedom with that money. They understand, most people understand at least that much. But the part that's trippy for me is that this whole day of physical experiences, and unique physical experiences, it has never happened before in that exact way, and it never will again, unless, you know, the life just, once it hits the end and everything goes bang, then it starts over again. You do the same thing over without remembering it or something. I don't know. Probably doesn't even need to do that, because if it's infinite, then it doesn't ever need to repeat, like I've said before. But it's amazing to me how a whole day of work, of energetic experience, and that's already recorded in my own head. It's already stored as far as value. The interactions that I've had with people today, inside and outside of work, also happened at the same time that work was happening, and I value those depending on how I value them. And the same thing is happening with personal interactions. If somebody interacts with you, then you create some sort of a value for that. Like, you care about the person, well, it has a higher value than if Joe Schmo from the advertising agency is calling you and, you know, offering his energetic output, and you say, no, your offering is worthless, I don't even want to talk to you. So you reject his offer. But the banks are trying to imitate what we do already naturally, and it's not anything more than a I like you or I don't like you. The con part of it is where people as a whole have accepted that some things are worth more than others. Some types of work are worth more than others. And here in the realm, since it's an upside down realm, the work that any normal human being would just know and appreciate as it's good stuff, like, say, I don't know, somebody planting a vineyard and producing grapes for you, or somebody picking those grapes, you know, has more value than creating some technological marvel that's also destroying the environment and not even doing its job, which is supposed to be reducing the need for everybody to be slaving away all day. And it's arguable either way anyway. I'm not saying I'm picking sides on that one, because I can argue any side of anything if I want to. You can argue that the poor person's happier than the rich person. They don't have as much bullshit to keep track of. They don't have as much people sitting there trying to kiss ass and, you know, be fair weather friends and whatnot. So you can argue whether this position in life is good or bad to the end of the day, till the cows come home, or whatever you call it. But it's so mind-boggling that whole experience that I had in the last 4 days. And that's a good portion of my life, right? That's 4 days is you know, that's roughly 1/100th of a year. And if you're considering that you live and die once, which of course that doesn't mean anything to me, but if you did consider that, then you know, 1/100th, you know, that's like a 1,000th of your life, something like that. So 1,000th of my life has been spent 4 days worth of working and a little bit of interacting with people via the technology as well. So, but I don't get paid for interacting with friends. As far as economic output is concerned, they haven't yet added that in, because they're clunky, like I said. But they take that 4 days of energetic output, which is me picking random people up and delivering them from point A to point B, and they translated that. They took the literal experience. I don't even think it's necessarily just theoretical. I think it's some sort of magic involved. It's the pull that money has is something beyond just, oh, you know, the person did something, so now they have a trading unit. No, it feels like it's something more than that. But those 4 days of experience of energetic output have certain economic value, and that experience gets scrunched up into what they call a bank deposit, which is sending numbers from one computer to another, from a computer that's inaccessible to me to a computer that's accessible to me. And now in a realm approved fashion, I have translated 4 days of realm approved work into trading units. So I've been deemed worthy by doing such and so for 4 days to now have a realm approved value of 4 days worth of trade freely. Realm doesn't care what I do with them. It just wants me to go stick it back into it. Like it wants to keep recycling all these things. Of course, you know, with the banksters and the whoever's, the fraudulent ones shaving off everything off the top and being rich and all that. Aside from that, Realm was neutral about it. I did it, and you know, the bank thing, the card expired, the debit card expired at the end of July. And so when I tried to transfer these numbers with instant pay, it didn't work. But they're very concerned about it, you know, like the company, Lyft and Uber, they're like, nah, man, you know, the numbers on your piece of plastic over there are, you know, when we look out at the sky and calculate where the numbers of the universe are at, and we calculate the numbers on your card, they're not matching up anymore. They're not within the pre-approved limits. And therefore, these other numbers that want to go from one computer to another are not allowed to do so anymore, and it's concerning to us because we know you want to be able to have your freely tradable units of exchange that you earned, right? And yes, I do want those. So I call Uber up and I said, hey, you know, my card expired and I want to know where my money went. And still, this whole time, I'm thinking in my head, what is going on? Like, what is actually transferring between computers? Like, have they digitized that experience, scrunched it up, and like, you know, if you really dive into those numbers that are flying between computers, like dig in there with a super deep microscope, could you find like me literally inside of those numbers, like transporting people from point A to point B somehow? I'm trying to figure out where is the tangible connection between the scrunching of this 4-day work output to numbers that go from one computer to another. I'm trying to find the actual connection. I feel like there's an actual connection. I don't feel like it's just, oh, a theoretical thing. No, because people care about it too much. I call the guy up. I'm concerned about my numbers. He's also concerned about my numbers because him being concerned about my numbers makes sure that his numbers are flowing freely, right? When you put a stop in the system anywhere and everybody loses out because everybody's codependent on each other's number system. But somehow, you know, 4 days work, it's completely stored up here, at least the relevant parts, which the only relevant part to me mainly is the numbers, which of course is bad because that means I don't value the actual interactions with the humans in the car and there's no need for us to be friends. But that's the freedom that the money system supplies, is it releases you from the need to have friends. You don't really need it anymore. You have your TV, which shows you other people having friends, and you don't have to worry about being shy or whether you're ugly or you're fat or, you know, you smelly or something. None of that matters. You know, you can sit in front of the TV, watch other people live their lives, go to work, not know anybody, get the experience scrunched down into a widely accepted way of trading energetic output, and you know, nobody minds. Like, the guy was concerned and he told me what was going to happen. He said, you know, well, update your card and all that money is going to be heading to the bank instead. So these numbers are heading to the bank instead, which is just a computer. in 3 days. So in 3 days, these numbers are going to appear in my bank account, which is largely theoretical as well, because now it's housed in the cloud, because now I can access it from any internet accessible thing. But yeah, it's mind-boggling. The money system is mind-boggling. Once you get over your hatred of it and how it just seems to encourage all kinds of nasty things, and I've been over this so many times, but if you can get past that and not be bitter and not be resentful about it, then, and you know, they're pretty accurate as far as once they've set a standard for your value, they're pretty accurate in delivering it. I haven't really had lots of problems with Uber or Lyft saying, you know, your output is worth this much and yada yada yada, and then go check it out and find out that it's off. They're concerned about keeping true to their word, even if like the thing they set up is serving, you know, something other than humans. It's very, the realm is fascinating. Even like I was listening to Matt's video. I just see Matt, like, he goes, he just flies around, smashes into this thing, and goes down a billion rabbit holes, and gets upset, and then he comes and says like, oh no, you know, it's not that important. But now he's coming out today saying like, while using the thing that he's talking about, that it's just, you know, carrots or whatever, apples from witches, you know, showing previously unknown 9/11 footage or something. And at the same time he's showing that, he's saying this all of this rabbit hole exploring that we're doing is serving the Matrix. That's what it wants us to do, and it's endless, and you never find any fulfillment doing that. And Ma and her tricks are endless as well. It never stops. And he's saying, you know, go within, find your inner space and reside there. And of course all that's true. That's yeah. But it's just funny that it's hard for us to do that at the same time as we're thinking, you know, well, the offerings of the world, even in the Bible it says, don't store up treasures in the world, store up your treasures in heaven. And essentially, to me, that's just saying, you know, have your energetic exchanges be spirit to spirit with other real living human beings, or whatever living beings are out there, trees, animals, whatever. And don't have it be with, excuse me, accumulation of material objects. But still, the thing is so alluring. And even with all the talk of, oh, you know, we've been recycled here so many times, and we get our minds wiped, and then we go to the white light, and the thing, the moon, Matrix, Saturn thing, whatever, cons us back into, you know, inhabiting another body, and then we're here again, you know, living unfulfilled lives based on material wants and desires that never fulfill anything. Even outside of that thing, I don't think it's just that it's a con job. I think if we come back here and get recycled 1,000 times, it's because we want to. It's because we need to. We're learning something, or we're developing our souls somehow, developing the spirit. Whatever the case, it's not just, oh, woe is me, I'm being recycled again, and I don't remember it because the fuckers wiped my brain, but it's just I'm here again and fuck me. I don't think it's necessarily like, I don't think it's as bad as all that. If you're not being tortured currently in your present moment, and, you know, you can imagine all kinds of bad things that could be happening to you that are not currently, then what's the big fuss about? You're alive here, you're alive there. Either you're alive somewhere or you're not alive somewhere. And if you're not in pain or duress or being mentally tortured somehow, then what's the problem? And all of this truther stuff, and it's supposed to be a show anyway. It's supposed to be like we're supposed to be getting involved in it, and instead of just watching the shows on TV, we're supposed to be actually like involving ourselves in this reality and make your own thing. Go interact with people. Go do something. You know, like don't just sit and just. I feel like it can be whatever you want. Like that's what somebody put in the comments on Matt's videos. It can be whatever you want. It doesn't have to be. You want it to be a thing where you've been recycled here 1,000 times and you're a poor, pitiful, wretched soul that just has no defense against those shenanigans of the archons and whatever energy-sucking fuckfaces are just doing this to you. Like, yeah, you'll get that. You'll see signs of that, and most likely when you die, you'll go through that exact experience and you'll be petrified. Well, first you'll go to the white light and you'll get sucked in, and then you'll hear like this evil laugh. Ha ha ha, you're going back to Earth, fucker. You know, then you'll forget all about it. Then you'll be here. Yeah, I think like you're supposed to be learning how to create. You're supposed to be learning how to actually manifest stuff in the 3D, which is also connected with all the other Ds going up to just enlightenment, where it's just pure awareness. I mean, I know what that is. I can't say I know, but I know what it is. I get it. You're just wherever you're at. Be where you're at. Shit while you're shitting. Eat while you're eating. Make YouTube videos while you're making YouTube videos. Or try to do it all at once. Like that's what fucks people up, I think, the most, is that there is too much freedom. So they would actually prefer to be here on Earth with all this just calamities closing in, and you know, all of the everything, all the truther stuff, all of the bickering and the, you know, that's what you want, so that's what you're getting, you know? Anyway, that's enough rambling for now. Gotta take off. I'll see y'all later. Peace!